I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. One only remembers to turn on the light.
It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
The ones that love us never really leave us.
Working hard is important, but there's something that matters, believing in yourself. If they can do it, why not us?
Hey everyone, welcome to Hogwarts, a podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hogwarts, a podcast. Today we are covering Act 2, Scene 20. That's the end of Act 2, for those keeping score. And we're also going to begin Act 3 with Scenes 1 and 2. Elizabeth is with us.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we wanted to do this in a certain way because these scenes kind of all actually fit together pretty well.
It's such a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So we'll start part 2 of this episode with Act 3. But we'll start it off with Act 2, Scene 20, which takes place at the Triwizard Tournament in the lake in the year 1995. And we start the scene with Ludo Bagman, being the great hype man that he is, trying to get cheers out of the Hogwarts, Durmstrang, and Beauxbaton's students. This time, he does note that the French have a little bit less limp of a cheer. They're starting to actually get into the Triwizard Tournament.
I feel like he's just like, poke, 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 poke. Somebody cheer, please. I want the enthusiasm.
Well, Hogwarts and Durmstrang seem to be very much all in on this tournament. And
yeah,
the French are like just starting to get into like, hey, this might be actually pretty cool. It's an interesting view of the French here.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they're playing up on the stereotype of the French being more, removed, more cold, I guess, but
laissez-faire about the whole thing.
Yeah, but I would think that, I mean, high school age students, teenagers watching this big competition, you're away from school for the whole year and you get to do really cool things, or at least watch really cool things. You get to meet new people. I would think they'd be just super excited. I don't know. I'd be excited. You'd be ecstatic. You'd be beside yourself.
I'd be very excited. It's not like the French don't get excited for things.
Yeah.
I've seen like PSG, their big soccer team in the Champions League. And,
yeah.
I mean, they support them. It's not like they have zero support in athletic events.
It kind of feels like a cheap joke.
The Olympics were just in France not that long ago. And you better believe the French basketball team got a ton of support. So I don't know where this view of the French comes from. But anyway, he also gets into a description of the participants. He says that Victor Crumb, of course, is a shark. Fleur, he notes, looks remarkable, which we'll double back on in a second. Plucky Harry is clever by using gillyweed. And Cedric, who is just a treat, uses a bubble charm.
I'm sorry, but the minute you said Crumb is a shark, the only thing that popped into my brain was Victor Shark. It's been a long day.
Terrible. No, obviously we know that Crumb transfigured himself into a crude shark, but a shark nonetheless. Mm-hmm. Plucky Harry did indeed use gillyweed, which was clever, except it wasn't him with that idea.
No, it wasn't.
Cedric is indeed a treat, and him using a bubble charm is also a very nice treat. Fleur, he just notes as looking remarkable.
I guess the bubble amplified her beauty?
Possibly. But obviously she did use a bubble charm the same as Cedric. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting that he just noted her looks.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like her strategy as opposed to the other three.
I also think it's funny to add context to Harry, him calling him clever. Remember at this time, Ludo was trying to offer help, and Harry's like, no, I got this. And he was like, do you? And he's like, oh, well, that was clever.
Remember, this is also the event of the Triwizard Tournament that I ranted on the most back when we did Goblet of Fire.
Because he procrastinated like crazy.
Because Harry does nothing. Harry does nothing himself here. Everything that Harry does in this is help. He gets so much help.
It's
so much help in this task. It is ridiculous.
It was one of those things where it's like, okay, I get procrastination for a little bit, but when you know the task, you know what you have to do, and you know it's impossible if you don't prepare for it. Like,
could not stand it. So, Albus and Scorpius are also here, and they begin swimming down into the depths of the lake. Eventually, they do run into Cedric, who is understandably surprised by the visage of these two individuals who he doesn't know who they are or where they came from. And they both, at the same time, hit Cedric with an engorgement charm. This makes him grow into a large balloon-like figure that eventually ascends to the top of the lake, and to my understanding, out of the lake as well. Like, this is, in my head, this is almost like an Aunt Marge situation.
Like swelling up into a balloon.
Right.
Now, my question with this, so we know when Harry was in this task and he was trying to shoot spells at various creatures, he couldn't actually speak the word. So do you think Scorpius and Albus are magically inclined enough to do an engorgement charm silently? Or is it like maybe not a verbal spell? Although they did say that there was a spell to say.
Engorgio.
Yeah. So how are they doing it underwater?
I guarantee you they did not have the time to learn how to do this non-verbally. Is it possible? Absolutely. Did they have the time or the magical
prowess
to actually pull it off? I am doubtful.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those little like, just ignore it.
Let's not get into the magical weeds on this one. But it's questionable. Mm-hmm. With Cedric growing so much, Ludo calls this a complete humiliation.
I find it interesting that Cedric sees them when they shoot the spell, because it said that he looked at them and he looked super confused right before it bubbled and he rose out of the water. I would think, they said that they had the invisibility cloak with them, so it's either it didn't really work much underwater, or it was like kind of maybe floating around a little bit, or they just completely forgot to put it on, which I wouldn't put past them. But I think it's interesting, like, having him see them, did that cause ripple effects that we're not aware of?
Possibly. That's not all that they did, though.
No, they did more.
Because as Cedric floats upward, fireworks begin to erupt around him, further confusing Cedric. And the words, "Ron loves Hermione," erupt all around Cedric as he continues to float. The crowd is noted to love this. And then Albus smiles, high-fives Scorpius in the water, which I also have concerns on. And then the scene kind of changes a little bit here.
Yeah, Ludo said how Cedric seemed absolutely humiliated by it. Which, okay, I have so many thoughts about this whole Ron loves Hermione thing.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this whole thing, but go ahead.
Okay, first of all, this reminds me of Ginny trying to send Harry that singing Valentine back in book 2 and be like, here's my very dramatic, impressive, attention-grabbing way of getting your attention. And the idea of Ron being like, Ron loves Hermione would be just so, like, in your face and present that I feel like it would backfire. And I feel like Hermione would absolutely hate this. Ron would try to deny it like crazy. So I think it would actually work against them as opposed to helping them. And I love how much this shows, like, Scorpius and Albus truly don't understand romance very well yet. They're so young and naive, and they just think this is the quickest, easiest fix, when in reality it's probably going to backfire. And if I were Cedric, I would assume that Ron had somehow messed with him. And I mean, the evidence seems to be right there. He set off these fireworks. It says it's like having your name signed on vandalism and be like, well, who did it? You signed it, so it's got to be you.
That's an angle that you could go with Cedric then assuming like, oh, if Ron loves Hermione is all over this, then Ron and Hermione are friends with Harry, and now
they're like messing with me.
What was a cordial friendship between Cedric and Harry could suddenly turn way sideways.
Yeah.
Into a much less cordial friendship.
Especially after Cedric helped him with this task and, gave him that information. Be like, oh, this is how you repay me?
And then,
okay, Potter.
I do agree with your idea of it backfiring, because what's Hermione going to do? It clearly wasn't her that set this off. Mm-hmm. Harry was under the water, so he didn't set this off. She naturally goes to Ron and goes, Ron, what is going on? And Ron's like, I don't know. I didn't set that off either. So then they must assume then that it's some sort of prank or some sort of like random
like
thing.
Draco's behind it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Something more nefarious is going on. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes a disingenuous statement. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that really helps them get together.
Yeah.
Unless they suddenly go, wait, huh? Maybe?
I feel like at that age,
probably
not. It'd be too embarrassing. And then anytime it would come up, it'd be like, oh, well, the last time she reacted badly to me declaring love, or he's not doing it anymore because of that firework. So, it's not going to work.
I have a few more points here. So, here's a couple of things. Cedric could very well assume that this was an obstacle set forth in the lake for him to have to get past. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a reasonable thing.
An odd obstacle, though, because it's like 2 children.
Correct. He could think it's a normal obstacle. He could think there's sabotage. Mm-hmm. What are the mer people doing? Because they're set to police all of this under the water.
Yeah.
Like, they know what's going on. They didn't look at this and go, hey, wait a second. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Well, it did seem like most of them were at the village when we saw them. They weren't so much like swimming the whole lake. But you would think that somebody would have seen, though I suppose they only had 5 minutes to get it done. And 5 minutes you can get a lot done in 5 minutes.
I imagine there's more than like 5 mer people in that lake.
Oh yeah, but the vast majority of them were singing at the town, like in the center of the lake.
Yeah, but I would assume some are like generally patrolling the lake, making sure things go relatively smoothly.
One would hope.
Like you're not like veering off track somewhere.
Remember though, Dumbledore was in charge back then.
You're not going randomly into some mer person's home, rifling through their personal effects. Like I'm sure they're like generally keeping an eye on you. Maybe. But also, yes, you got to assume that Cedric would come out of this thing being like, I was attacked underwater by people.
Yeah.
Like, that can't be legal, right?
Like, if I were him and they didn't budge on rules or redos or anything like that, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go call up Rita Skeeter and be like, here's my side of what's going on. It's scandal galore.
Maybe.
He'd get all the headlines.
All right. And then also, in a much less serious fashion, high-fiving underwater might seem like a cool idea. It is not as cool as you think it is.
No, it doesn't work very well.
It is. Cirque du Soleil it has a great underwater show. I don't know if it's still in Vegas or not. Mm-hmm. They can do it and make it look cool. Albus and Scorpius probably looked
They are the
ridiculous.
least cool people ever.
They probably looked ridiculous trying to high-five in water.
I feel like they're the kind of people who couldn't do a high five in regular, like, circumstances.
So anyway, they have their moment, and then it's noted that the whole world becomes dark. Darker. Almost completely black. Scorpius then reemerges in the water and in our general present timeline. Mm-hmm. Albus is nowhere to be found. Who does end up finding Scorpius in the lake is none other than headmistress Dolores Umbridge.
Dun dun dun.
And she does announce herself as the headmistress of Hogwarts.
Yes. This is a nightmare come true.
Yes. That we've actually seen play out in our current reality. Umbridge says to him that however important his family might be, Scorpius needs to stop dilly-dallying. And Scorpius says he's looking for a student named Albus Potter. Umbridge says there hasn't been a Potter for years. Not so much rest in peace, Harry Potter. More rest in perpetual despair.
She can hold a grudge.
Total troublemaker. I like how total troublemaker equals rest in perpetual despair. Like, that's what he's done to wrong you, is just be a total troublemaker.
You must not tell lies.
Now you must suffer in your afterlife. Dementors end up descending upon the scene, and you can hear Voldy's voice say, Harry Potter, in the background. And it's noted that Harry's dream from earlier has actually come to life.
Yeah, darkness has come around Albus because Albus is no more.
Yeah. Umbridge continues on to say that Harry Potter died over 20 years ago as part of a failed coup. He was one of Dumbledore's terrorists that were overthrown. Which is a crazy thought. Mm-hmm. That Dumbledore's army is now labeled terrorists. Yeah. And that
from heroes to villains.
The Harry Potter resistance, if you will, is now considered a failed coup. Mm-hmm. She then says, come along now. You're upsetting the Dementors and ruining Voldy Day. And then they note that banners with snake symbols appear, and the whole thing cuts to black.
I do remember watching this and thinking, like, oh, this is cool and also terrifying at the same time, especially when those banners fall, because you can see, like, okay, this is an established world. Darkness has won. Violence and evil are around, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your best friend is missing. Now how do you proceed? So that was creepy. I do wonder about the whole Harry's death, though. I would have thought that they would have Harry die in the third task. Like, since Cedric didn't have as good of a standing points-wise to enter the maze the same time as Harry, I would think that they both wouldn't reach the cup at the same time, so it would be just Harry. There's no Cedric to also grab the cup with you, and after what they just did to him, I can't see him being accepting of sharing the victory. So I would see it as like, okay, Harry grabs a cup because his point value is ahead of things. He goes to the graveyard. They immediately take him by surprise, and Avada Kedavra, there goes Harry.
Well, at that point, there's still a lot of other issues at play. It wasn't only Cedric that saved Harry that day. I mean, you still have the spell that took place. You still have a lot of additional factors that don't even come to light until book 7.
Mm-hmm. I know, like, it makes sense because I know, like, Voldemort needed his blood and he wanted to show off and brag about, like, haha, I've bested you, Potter. But I just think that would have been such a quick, easy, like, oh, because he wasn't there to die, Harry had to die. And, like, it shows Cedric's purpose in life was to die at that moment. It changed the course of history for him to not die in that moment.
What if the choice made here was Harry decided not to return after dying, going to King's Cross, and then he makes the decision in this timeline to be like, you know what?
I'm gonna stay.
I'm gonna go on.
Maybe.
And that was his choice. And then this is the result of
Maybe
that choice.
That too, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it makes me just wonder, like, okay, how did Harry survive the graveyard? What choices were then changed because of the outcome of the tasks?
Mm-hmm. I just have to acknowledge this line. You're upsetting the Dementors.
And in the theater, those Dementors were creepy.
The whole thing was so well orchestrated to actually give you a sense of actual dread.
Yeah, because I remember like there were shadows that went all over the theater, so it wasn't just like on the stage. And then they use light and darkness so well and so effectively the entire time. So you see coming out of the darkness these just like wispy black floating massive shadows, and they're so looming in their presence. It's so cool and so creepy looking. It's very well done.
How do you feel about Albus disappearing in this circumstance?
I was going to ask you about that too, because I feel like if Albus is the one who is supposed to be more of the protagonist and has had issues this entire time with thinking like, what should I do? How do I be good enough for my dad to accept me as me and all that stuff? It seems odd to have him be the one to disappear and have Scorpius be the one that has to see this alternative world.
I don't know about that. So my view of it is, and to be very, very clear, I'm fine with this choice. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have any inherent problem. I'm just kind of playing like a devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. Like, one, why did they make this choice? And two, what would happen if it
was flipped?
It was not even flipped, but if he was there. So, to why make this choice? I think it's an interesting idea. Like you said, Albus seems to be our general main protagonist, right? Mm-hmm. So he would be your 1A storyline, right? And Scorpius, with all of his issues with Draco and running basically the same general story, but secondary to Albus, it'd be like your B line. Now you're giving your second story a little bit more time to breathe by getting Albus out of there, and you can really dive into the Scorpius of it for a second, which I'm okay with that too. We have all stated that we love Scorpius in this.
I love time with Scorpius.
So giving us more Scorpius is never a bad thing.
No.
But I think that's the decision that was made. It's like, okay, Albus is our 1A. Let's remove him from the picture and give some time to our second storyline. Totally cool. And we'll talk about that as we get into part 2. But if they brought Albus in, I think you can do it. It would just change how everything is. Because I think taking him out of time, using the time turner, you could bring him back as like a person out of time. Yeah. The only problem then would be, as Umbridge discovers you in the lake, who is this kid? Like, no one would be able to recognize him or know who he is, and there's no way to verify his identity at all because his
existence wasn't a thing.
Correct. Yeah. So he would be literally someone pulled out of time and just dropped.
I have 2 thoughts in relation to that. I do think it would be interesting for Albus to see, like, how important his father was despite all his issues with his dad and the choices that Harry has made and stuff like that. I think it'd be really good for him to see just how dark and evil this is. But I do like seeing Scorpius explore this world because, I mean, he's Malfoy and we've seen him be like not only mocked but like aggressively shunned by society because of the rumor of him being related to Voldemort. And if now you're in Voldemort's world, what will that look like for you? And will that give you new perspective on Hogwarts or of yourself? And will you like what you see? Or is it going to be like the most shocking thing on the planet to see what your life would be if you never met Albus Potter because he didn't exist? Like, it'd really make you reflect on your friendship in such an interesting, deep way.
All I'm saying is I think it's a really interesting choice that they made. And you could play it a different way if you wanted to. If that was your flavor as a writer or a director, you could play it a different way. I don't mind how they did it here, and I think it still makes sense how they did it here. And it's still an interesting story how they did it here.
Agreed.
It's just an interesting kind of like a what if way of this could have broke a couple of different ways and had a couple of different results, which are also equally interesting.
Because especially by this point, both characters seem deeply attached to each other. And I know you could interpret it as a romantic attachment or just a friendship attachment. But the last conversation we saw between Albus and Scorpius was how Scorpius was yelling at Albus for being a horrible friend, and now that friend has disappeared. And if it was the flip of it and Albus realized Scorpius was gone, I think it would make him reflect on how much he valued and relied on that friendship more than he thought.
Yeah, but I don't think you could flip it because I don't think that would make sense.
No, it wouldn't, but it'd be cool.
Unless Scorpius changed. Mm-hmm. Like, if he disappeared there, but you get back into Hogwarts.
Oh, and then you see the Scorpius who's like an
evil
demon.
That world's Scorpius.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
That could be interesting, too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
We digress. Let us know what you think on all of these potential what-ifs as we get kind of into the time travel weeds a little bit and how all of that kind of changes our Wizarding World landscape. Let us know what you think by leaving us a message on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can find all of our socials at HogwartsAPod. You can also leave a comment on Spotify. You can also participate in a poll on Spotify by scrolling down on our episode, and it will be there.
Please vote, yeah, because we love seeing your guys' thoughts on things.
We do, and we want to hear your thoughts on Cursed Child, because I don't believe it's as commonly read or as commonly experienced as the obvious, main books are. Mm-hmm. So we want to hear all of your thoughts on the Cursed Child as we go through it. And there's a lot of interesting things to discuss here. So leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts. We will take a short break, and we will be back with part 2.
It's intermission.
And Act 3.
Yeah.
When we return. Before we get to our break sound, I'd like to acknowledge our friend Andy, who helps us produce our intros and our break sounds. If you want to hear more of Andy's work and like Formula One racing, check out the Outlap F1 podcast. It's your one-stop shop for Formula One news, insights, race previews, and reviews. You can find them wherever you listen to podcasts, and they even have a YouTube page. So check out Andy, Cody, John, James, and Deanna, and join them on the Outlap.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
I love magic.
All right, so we are back with Act 3, Scene 1, and we are in the Hogwarts headmistress's office. Again, this is Umbridge as headmistress of Hogwarts.
Do you think she still has cats on her wall?
Well, it's the headmistress's office. So do you think she's replaced the former headmasters and headmistresses?
With just the plates of
with
cats.
Just plates of cats? Do you think she's put... Because she can't probably remove those portraits.
No, they're probably permanent sticking charm.
Do you think she's stuck the cat plates over where the face would be on those portraits? And then as the old headmaster comes into the frame, it's just
a
cat head over the body.
How upset, what was his name? Sirius's
Phineas Nigellus.
He'd be so angry.
Well, so here's the thing with Phineas Nigellus.
He wouldn't like having a cat over his portrait.
No, but also with his lineage, he probably wouldn't get one over his.
I wonder if he would be pro or con the whole Slytherin takeover Voldemort deal.
He would be pro Slytherin being in charge. I think he would be pro some of the disciplinary actions in place, because he was always seemingly for actual punishment and making sure the kids are in line, because he always took offense to when the kids stepped over a line.
Yeah, they're a little sassy.
Yes. Now, I don't know to the depth of which he knows all that is going on. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that he would maybe be all for everything that this headmistress is about. And
I wonder how much duty-bound by magic these portraits are to the current headmaster or headmistress.
I think they're pretty...
Like, you just gotta support them, I guess.
I'm sure they yell out their dissents. And I'm sure there is quite a few dissents. I still wonder if the founders are in that office.
Yeah.
Because if they're represented in some way, even if it's at the very, 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 very top of this office, and Slytherin might be super thrilled, but the other three are probably not
they're like,
happy.
you are destroying this place, and it's horrible. But
So, Scorpius enters this office as Umbridge is contemplating whether to make him head boy or not. She does acknowledge that 3 days have passed since the event in the lake. And in this 3 days, she's noticed a change in Scorpius. Scorpius used to be this pure-blood, natural leader, wonderfully athletic. And Scorpius is like, I'm sorry, what?
me? Athletic?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? And she's like, yeah, you're a fantastic seeker. There's never been a snitch that you couldn't catch. You're valued by faculty, especially me. Mm-hmm. And she's heaping all of this praise on Scorpius, but then says, you've become more odd. You've become odder and odder as we've seen more of you. You start asking questions about Harry. You're seeming to be obsessed with him. You're questioning the Battle of Hogwarts, how and why Harry died. You have this weird fascination with Cedric Diggory.
And all of this seems super crazy because she said they've been working together to make Hogwarts a safer, purer place. And she said she's given glowing reviews of him to the Augury, which we don't know much about at this moment, but like they must be up there and important if they're getting glowing reviews from the headmistress of Hogwarts.
Scorpius, while slow to the uptake, finally lets it sink in. And he's like, oh, no. This is a temporary aberration. I'll be right back to it. I'm restored, I promise you.
I'm in trouble if I don't put on the facade of like, I'm with ya.
He's starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
And Umbridge is like, oh, thank Voldy. For Voldy and Valor. And then the scene ends.
And she also does a sign. It described it as touching her heart and then touching her wrists together, which I'm picturing as like a bird wing kind of a thing based on the augury thing. I think that's like some kind of symbol has combined Voldemort with this bird.
I think it's interesting that the phrase is Voldy and Valor. Mm-hmm. Valor is usually a word that you would more use with Gryffindor in the sense of bravery, particularly in battle.
Yeah.
So with Valor being part of this motto that is now part of the Voldy regime, I suppose, is that a reference to just the Battle of Hogwarts and that they've won a major wizarding battle, thus his followers displayed great bravery, hence valor? Or do you think the larger wizarding world is still currently at war and he has now moved on from the borders of Britain to other countries and they are still actively fighting for their anti-Muggle, anti-Muggle-born ways?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because he's essentially become... the world has become a fascist nation with a dictator. So it wouldn't surprise me if he would want to expand his like legacy and his empire. So I could see it.
It's interesting because obviously Hogwarts can be quite the ground for training new recruits.
Yeah.
Which is essentially
and brainwashing the future.
Which is essentially what they were trying to do in Snape's reign as headmaster, with the Carrows being the dark arts teachers, not the defense against the dark arts.
Yeah, because if you brainwash the youth and don't teach them those critical thinking skills or withhold the real history, they're going to grow up thinking that this is the way it is and the treatment of people, the way we treat them, that's the correct way to do it. And
well,
you accept the world that you're taught.
Presumably with all of Dumbledore's followers being labeled as terrorists, everybody with a one-side view of who Voldy really is was either eliminated or shunned to the side or imprisoned or whatever have you.
Which also shows the power of rhetoric, like literally labeling them as terrorists. You can't be like, well, I'm a fan of Dumbledore's army because, like, oh, you like terrorism then? Like, it doesn't work that way.
I wonder what happened here. I wonder because if we go back to the Battle of Hogwarts and that great speech, great. Threatening, yes. Horrifying, yes. But it was a great speech by Voldy, nonetheless.
You sound like
Ollivander?
Yeah.
It was a great speech. Horrifying, but great. When he says, like, hey, surrender now, and everything will be fine. I have great respect for Hogwarts. I have great respect for the teachers of Hogwarts. So in this world, do you think the teachers never surrendered and they fought till the end? And he had to put them down, for lack of a better phrase? Or did they surrender and he still flipped the script on them?
I think either way, if they went out fighting, then he would obviously have to replace them with loyalists. If they did give in, then they got replaced or killed.
It's interesting that they'd use the phrase for Voldy and Valor. I think that's just an interesting phrase to apply to him and his followers.
Yeah.
So that scene ends, and we begin Act 3, Scene 2. And we're on the Hogwarts grounds, and it's basically just a scene of Scorpius interacting with different students. Initially, you get an interaction with Carl Jenkins and Jan Fredericks. This interaction starts with Carl yelling at Scorpius, "Hey, Scorpion King!"
I immediately thought of the Mummy.
I think everybody.
It's such a good nickname, though. It's
a great nickname for Scorpius.
It really is.
I wonder if they have any actual recognition of the actual movie, The Mummy.
I don't know. But it also makes me think of, like, Ron with Weasley as our king.
Unless in this world, the Scorpion King was an actual, like, pharaoh with magic, so he's known to the wizarding world.
Or, like, this idea of king. I mean, like, he is a Malfoy. Yeah. So that name holds a lot of power.
It's just a cool name.
It's very cool.
I think, honestly,
if I were Scorpius, I'd be like, okay, the one thing I want to actually keep, if I can ever get back to the original timeline, call me Scorpion King.
I think in realistic terms, it's just a really cool name. I don't think they've picked it up from popular culture anywhere.
No.
But
he seems to be popular, though.
He seems to be popular. It's greeted with, "Hey, Scorpion King," and then a high five. Jan says, "We're still on for tomorrow night." And Carl goes, "Yeah, we are ready to spill some proper mudblood guts." Mm-hmm. So
tells us a little bit of what Scorpius is like.
Yes, and how some of these students may have changed from their original.
And been brainwashed to think that this is an okay thing to do. Because they don't see Muggle-born or half-bloods as being human. They're animals to hunt.
This is a world they've grown up in now.
Yeah.
Because they've all been born post Battle of Hogwarts. So this is the only world that they've known.
Which is so scary to think that, like, in one generation, the norms of what is valued by society or what is acceptable can completely change, do a 180.
So Polly Chapman comes into the scene, and she calls for Scorpius, and Scorpius is just surprised that Polly's even saying his name out loud. And she continues to say that she has turned down 3 people already in hopes that Scorpius will ask her. "I'm interested," she says. And I really want to make it clear. Do you know that I'm interested? I am really interested. There's been rumors that you're interested, but the fact that I'm interested is an FACT fact.
She's bold.
Yes, she is. She is referring to the blood ball.
Yeah, I love how Scorpio's like, I don't even know what you're talking about here.
She's referring to the blood ball and who the Scorpion King is taking. And then a scream happens off stage behind them, and Scorpion's like, what's that? And Polly's like, "Oh, it's just the mudbloods in the dungeon. I think it was actually your idea." And then she goes, "Oh, Potter, I've got blood on my shoes again.
I love that Potter is like now a curse word. Like,
yeah, essentially. And then she continues, like the augury insists, the future is ours to make. So I'm making a future with you.
which I don't know if it struck you this way. On the one hand, I got the vibe that it was like, okay, I'm being bold and I want the future with you, so that's why I'm being so direct with my desire to go to the dance with you. On the other hand, I kind of took it as like a pureblood thing of we're supposed to be together, so I, the woman, am now like giving myself to you, the most prominent pureblood that is around. Have me as your wife and we will make our future together. And I know that sounds dramatic. I know that sounds dramatic, but it was just giving me that vibe, maybe not like to the point of marriage, but just the vibe of like, I am trying to set myself up to make the best bloodline possible, because that has been what our focus has been on in the society. It's just, you have to be a pureblood, so you best find yourself a pureblood as quickly as possible.
The problem is the reality of that is not even reality, because there are only so many purebloods left.
Yeah.
So this idea of like, oh, we have mudbloods in the dungeon. Okay. Does that refer mainly to Muggleborns, or does it also refer to mudbloods that aren't in good standing? Because
I could see it as being both.
Because the harsh reality of it is the vast majority of wizards in the wizarding world, even at the time of the Battle of Hogwarts, were mostly mixed.
But that's why I think I get the vibe so much, because she's like, I want to be with the purest blood that I can.
You want to secure your livelihood going forward.
Yeah, so I got to go with Scorpius.
No, what I get here is how I interpret this scene is this entire time they're trying to save Cedric Diggory, right? Well, in this timeline, Scorpius has essentially become Cedric Diggory.
Yeah.
Talented.
Yeah.
Well connected. You're the greatest. You're attractive. You're the greatest athlete that they have. Like, you have become now what Cedric Diggory is. And Cedric Diggory, at the time we really got to know him, every girl, as was reported by Myrtle, was trying to align themselves with him. And I think that's what we're seeing now, is what we can assume is a pretty popular girl in Polly Chapman trying to get Scorpius' attention because he's the top of the food chain for whatever reason. Whether it's family, whether it's fame, whether it's looks, whether it's talent, whether it's whatever. She's just trying to get close to the best.
Yeah.
And Scorpius in this world seems to be the best.
Which must be such a fascinating experience for him, because I feel like, especially for teenagers, if you're an outcast and you feel like you don't really fit in, I imagine on the one hand you're like, well, fine, I don't need him anyway. But when you're more alone and you're in an insecure moment, you're probably like, I wish I was popular. So here he gets to experience the wish, but realizing like, my popularity comes with me doing these horrible things. Like, my friends are people who think it's not only acceptable but normal to go killing mudbloods, and we call them mudbloods, and yeah, putting them in the dungeons. That was my idea, and people expect this from me. Like, what is my life with this popularity? Is this even worth the cost? And the only way he can really think about that is because he's a good enough person in the other world, the other timeline, to recognize, like, yeah, this popularity might be cool, but I don't like who I am with it.
So Polly finishes her statement with, again, for Voldy and Valor. So you get it again from now a student, not an adult. And then Scorpius finishes the scene with the words, what is this world and what am I in it? Which I think is poignant on the idea of what am I literally involved in now?
Yeah.
But also, what am I? Who am I? What am I about? And all of the questions that brings.
And a little bit the whole Like, it's always greener on the other side of the fence. It's like you thought it would be better, and now it's like, is it though?
It's an interesting thing because Carl, Jan, and Polly, who we all see in this scene, will never get the chance to see this version of themselves.
Right.
Most likely.
Right.
Scorpius now has the unique opportunity to go to a different timeline and see an alternate version of himself. And he gets to look at himself in that mirror and go, who am I? What am I about? What's important to me? Mm-hmm. And I think it would be really interesting for the other 3 students
to also see themselves.
To see what they are capable of. Mm-hmm. Even if they can't, for any reason at all, fathom doing some of the things that they are doing in this universe. Mm-hmm. The idea that they are capable of it, is a sobering fact for people to realize. And it just makes me think, as I'm reading the scene, like, if the idea of multiverses are real, and if there's multiple versions of us
out there
in perpetuity forever and ever and ever, so there's every single variation of us that can be. In theory,
there's an evil version of you out there somewhere.
There'd be this evil version.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to kind of contemplate, and then you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, how can I make the best choice?
That, and I think it makes you reflect on what choices you made that brought you to this moment. And I think thinking about, like, how could my life have been different if I had made a different choice in those moments is always an interesting what if.
Yeah, how did I get to this? Mm-hmm. Or how could I get to this is something that now Scorpius has to very intimately reconcile.
How do I change it back?
Well, furthermore, if he's able to somehow correct all of this, and you have to go back to your original timeline and see Carl, Jan, and Polly, and look them in the eye after seeing what their evil version is capable of, and just be like, I don't know that I could look at you again the same way. You know what I mean?
I think I could. I mean, I think he could at least look at them in the eye, but I think he would no longer be seeking friendship with them or the approval, because I think...
Which isn't necessarily fair to that individual, because they're
a
different person.
No, it's not, but I think you'd be tainted by the idea of, like, oh, you did dark things in that other world. I don't know. Stay away from you.
What's the line in Batman? You're one bad day away from being like the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's just one bad day away. Well,
yeah, it's interesting to think, like, everyone has that evil potential within them. It's just your choices that determine whether or not that evil comes out. And to see a version of yourself where it has come out is really scary.
This is a really warped version of the wizarding world.
It makes me so anxious.
It does.
It's cool to see, but I'm like, oh, fix it. Just, it feels so broken, And it's like, if you shatter something into a million pieces, how do you ever put it back together again and have it be the same?
Well, this world has got to be pretty darn hopeless, because if Voldy won, that means the only individuals that ever knew how to take him down are most likely gone.
And the Dementors are around 24/7.
And he might have redoubled all of his efforts. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Harry got through all of the Horcruxes before this moment.
And for all you know, you're one step away from being tossed into the dungeons. One wrong step, one wrong comment, one suspicious glance from the right person, and you're in trouble. You have to walk on eggshells all the time.
This is a deeply dark part of the Harry Potter universe. Mm-hmm. But it is a really interesting what if side story that I find very interesting to read about, and I'm looking forward to continuing to read about it as we go on to scenes 3 and 4.
I am enjoying it more now that we're deeper into it. I still feel like the beginning of the screenplay was weak with establishing Albus as a character and the motivations, but I think now that it's in the middle of like the action sequences, and we've seen more of his relationships with people, and we've seen the actual time traveling, it does strengthen the play.
We obviously had a fun time going over these couple of scenes. Let us know what you think about alt-world Harry Potter and what a Voldy run universe might be like, what a Umbridge run Hogwarts really could be like, because there were always some boundaries when she ran it the first time. Like, people were resisting constantly, including the faculty and staff. This time, nobody's impeding her run as headmistress. She is running Hogwarts as she likes. So what do you think that looks like? Let us know by commenting on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on Spotify. Find all of our socials at Hogwarts a Pod. Participate in that poll. When you scroll down on our episode on Spotify, you can participate in that poll. Keep a lookout for all the polls we do post on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll be back soon with another episode, continuing on in the world of a Voldy-centric wizarding world.
Those bright and happy times are ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon. Thank you for listening to Hogwarts, a podcast. If you like what you've heard, please click the subscribe button on your preferred podcasting app and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hogwarts a Pod.